Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Bami, I'm sorry to interject there, but let me just ask you this. How do you intend to get people together, for instance? Would it not be possible for the National Assembly, you know, there you have representatives of the people in both the Senate and the House of Representatives. Is it not possible for this National Assembly now to sit down, you know, discuss some of the issues you're talking about now and probably restructure and give us a new constitution?
No, it's not possible. The reason is the National Assembly is constituted to make law, not to make a constitution. If they do that, they will fall to the same mistake that the military fell into. When the military came into power, it gave itself under Decree 1 of 1984. It gave itself the power to make law, not the power to make a constitution. When it came to the point of imposing a constitution on us, it called the Decree 24 of 1999. It is only in Nigeria that its constitution is called a decree. What they can do is very simple. They do not, for example, the National Assembly came into existence before the Constitution came into existence. The Constitution was decreed into existence 12 midnight, May 29, 1999, whereas all the apparatus of government already came into existence. So, the National Assembly is constituted and legitimized, not by that Constitution, but by the electors. So it is no different from what takes place in Britain. So what can the National Assembly do now? Since it is already legitimized by the people's vote, by the electors, it can legitimately make law for Nigeria. So it should go ahead to make law for the people of Nigeria to give to themselves a constitution.
All right.
It would have acted properly.
I think I get your point now.
If you look at our Interpretation Act, you will see that law is different from a constitution. Law is made by the National Assembly. A constitution is agreed upon by the people. It is never decreed into law and it is never made into law.
All right.
A constitution is not law.
Just hold it there, Dr. Abayomi. Hold it there. I'm going to come back to you. Let me come to you, Mr. Wale Ogunade. Quite interesting, some of the points he's raising there. But what would be wrong for the National Assembly to you know, probably lead this process of giving us a new constitution? After all, they've embarked on a constitution amendments and all of that, and that, you know, it probably would be very cumbersome if you say, for instance, you want to get the people of this country, or probably you hold some kind of election where the people will have to choose representatives that will go to probably a constituent assembly that will sit down and draft a new constitution for this country.
The Nigerian people know themselves. The Nigerian people know their true leaders. Nigeria, you know the nationality you come from. And as a part of that nationality, within the Nigerian nation, you know your true representatives. You know your representatives. The Hausas know theirs, the Fulfulde, the Fulanis, the Nupes, the Shekiris, Ijos, Abnan, Abang, all of us know our representatives who are our genuine representatives who will come to a national conference. My brother, this is the time for a constitutional discussion is now. You see, you can't force things on anybody except to agree. They cannot work together. If we don't agree on how to go about it, and I appreciate Doctor, he's laid the thing right. The National Assembly has the right to make law. You don't make a constitution, no, people will not sit down. And that's why we have said that Decree 24 that you referred to, that's the 1999 Constitution, is a lie. Because we, the people of Nigeria, never sat down anywhere to make this document called the 1999 Constitution. And there is nowhere in the world that some people will sit down and breathe a law onto a constitution on people. It is a people's wish that they want something.
But there's something I still don't get, Chike. There's something I still don't get. How does it affect what is actually going on in the country now? I mean, because, you know, at some point, Dr. Abayomi said, well, the bigger problem is, you know, the people of this country need to come together and sit down. How, for instance, would this address the problem of Boko Haram? How would this address the problem of insecurity in the Niger Delta and in Jos, the Plateau State capital, or anywhere else in the country?
Well, I think one can safely make the argument that, especially in view of the election that took place about barely 3 months ago, that the continuing violence in this country would seem to be indicative of a repudiation or rejection of the present status quo as it is presently, in place in this constituted in the country. And why do I say so? What is the essence of an election? You see, a president, any president or any leader coming, after an election is usually at its strongest point, just immediately after the election, because there's so much energy that has gone into that election.
Especially when that leader wins so convincingly.
Especially when the election that brought him to power is credible. So you find a situation where he has so much goodwill at the initial stage. Immediately he becomes, president. And so you want to expect that there will be a cessation of hostilities, somehow from the social tension that has, that is bedeviling the country and so on, just to allow the man to see what he's going to do in the next 3-6 months. But that does not seem to be the problem, because from the moment he assumed power as president of this country, we did not see that. We did not see cessation of hostility and some of the social problems that we're facing right now. It has been a continuous flurry of activities, negative activities in terms of jeopardizing the security of lives and property in this country. So like I said, that would be indicative of a rejection or repudiation of the present status quo as presently constituted. Now, going back to what Gwande has said and Dr. Abayomi, I would agree. John Locke, argued in one of his treatises that he said, look, a social state emerges from a social contract when a people agree to form a government. In that case, in that process, they give up they give up certain rights in order to preserve their liberty, their property, and their lives. But in this case, there must be a consent on the part of the people, and I think that is the bottom line of what actually we are talking about, that Nigerians, whether we like it or not, never really sat down to say, look, this is how we want to be governed. You look at all the great constitutions, being in practice, especially in Europe and America, where we get our democracies from. You talk about the French Revolution that led to the formulation of, le droit de l'homme, by the French Republic. You talk about what happened in America, for instance, after the Civil War and so on, and then the various, first of all, the Constitution of Confederation, and then, after that, a constitution that strengthened the central government and so on. So the people all took part in all of this. We have not had that. And so you are seeing pockets of, when you see these things going on, you know that all is not well with a country. People have grievances, deep-seated grievances that must be addressed whether we like it or not. And I think the political class has also realized the fact that they can no longer continue to hold on to their powers in this country, because what is happening actually threatens the status quo as it is in Nigeria. So, and that is why there's so much panic, there's so much anxiety and so on. Everything that has to be done or has been done, you look at the security situation on ground, the security agencies are not even in a position. And that also brings to mind one other problem that we have. Nigerians do not believe that they have a nation. We have ethnic nationalities, and so you have loyalties going to ethnic nationalities instead of to the country. And that is not the way it is supposed to be, because this nation should be the center, the point of convergence of everybody. But we see people who have loyalties, based on their ethnic coloration, their religious affiliations, and the rest. And so you talk about a police force, for instance, a police force that is, apart from the fact that they lack basic resources, but how motivated are these people to work for the interest of this country, to work for the security of this country? These are some of the issues.
Yeah, let me just pause you there and go back to you, Dr. Abayomi, there in Abuja. I have to ask you this question too, because it's very important. How do you think the issue of a constitutional conference or having a new constitution for the country would address some of the problems we're experiencing today, especially the problem of insecurity, the problem of corruption, for instance? All of those problems. How would this issue of having a new constitution now address all of those problems?
The people will agree on, for example, how they want security to be managed. I'm from Ondo State. It may be a desire to have our own police force and ensure that that police force comes from our people and therefore responsive to the people and are controlled by our people, and consequently their misdemeanor and behavior is within the ideas of our people. On the other hand, a different discussion arrangement may be warranted in a different zone. Maybe some other areas prefer community policing or something like that. In, for example, Cote d'Ivoire, they have what is called armed intervention.